Diggs Nation. All right. Welcome. We are back for season 2 of Peanut Butter Magic. I'm your host, Brandon Austin. I got my man Sway Low with me. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be back.
It's the Peanut Butter Magic Show. It's the Peanut Butter Magic Show.
All right, what's up, y'all? We're back. This is Brandon Austin. I'm hosting the show tonight. I'm so excited. This is episode 1 of season 2. Sway, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. How's everything been going with you since the last time we spoke?
It's been pretty busy, man. Pretty busy, making a lot of music and creating joyful noises. And you know, I got a tribe of kids that I'm raising, and you know, it's just that. You know what I mean? Just staying busy. What about you, man?
Man, I've been doing the same thing. We're going to talk a little bit about what I've been doing since we wrapped up season 1, because made some major changes in my free time. So we're going to get to that in a little while. I'm kind of excited to talk about. It's been a long time coming, I think.
We wrapped up season 1. It was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So there was slow motion going on there.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of things have changed in the world too. So I'm kind of excited to see how, you know, season 2 goes this time, because we're not just locked in the house. We're able to venture out and go do things.
Absolutely.
A lot of changes. Well, speaking of changes, we are in season 2. I'm going to start season 2 off with a question.
So,
what did you learn from season 1?
A lot. First off, I learned podcasting is hard.
What? No, you just hit record and you're done.
No.
What?
No.
Please explain.
No. It was, I thought going into it that it was going to be a lot like that, but I did realize that there's a lot that goes into just pre-production. You know what I mean? In setting this thing up. The idea was we were sitting around just not really doing much, and we decided, okay, well, since we got downtime, we'll put together a podcast. And man, from the beginning, it was from the camera setup and trying to figure out how to do that, and excuse me, trying to figure out how to do that with setting up the camera and the capture card I didn't know anything about, and I'm thinking that you just plug and play, and there was a lot of technical stuff that went on with that. And then like getting people in sync, creating a schedule and sticking to it, following through week after week, things that the consistency of it all, and still trying to like live life around the podcasting and stuff like that too. It was a lot of work. A lot of work. I didn't realize, I didn't think it was gonna be as big a job than it was. But once we got the ball rolling, it was a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Had a great time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I learned from season 1 was definitely just staying consistent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because usually, like on the video side of things, like we go into pre-production, we go through production, we go into post-production, and then that's just it until the next go-round.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then with this show, it was like, as soon as we finish editing, wait, we got to start over now? All right, well, here we go. Record. Same thing. Repeat. Wait, we got back again? All right, here we go. You know? And getting used to that schedule and remembering, oh, no, I can't do anything. Like, I think we were recording on Tuesdays, so it was like, no, Tuesdays, I can't do anything. I'm done. Like, we got to shoot, we got to edit, we got to go through everything, we got to come up with a plan for next week. And then next Tuesday, I can't do nothing because I got to get back to the podcast. So that was definitely something that was a challenge that I'm not used to. I'm used to the job, right? That 9 to 5, I got to be there every day, and that's fine. But usually I come home and it's like, all right, what am I going to work on today? Well, Tuesday is podcast day, and that's just what we're going to do. And we did that for months.
Yeah.
For months. Like, and I like this. I like that we have this like season thing set up where we come up with an idea, we execute the idea, and then we're finished until the next year. But with us, we were like, no, we can't just start doing this. We need to practice. We need to rehearse. We need to go through all these technical difficulties. We need to get into a rhythm. And I feel like we came out swinging. You know what I mean? A lot of the podcasts that I watch, episode 1 with a lot of other people, like it's real, you know, not that great. Mm-hmm. You know, they got to get into the swing of things. They got to learn what their show is going to be about. And by the time we completed episode 1, we'd already been doing it for 4 or 5 months.
Right.
And figured out what our show was actually going to be like.
Yeah. And having, you know, television and radio background, the production side of it for me was, I don't want to minimize anything, but it was a lot. It was more so of things that I already done. Now, granted, podcasting is different, but the same for both of them. You're kind of getting the best of both worlds and the worst of both worlds without any real structure. Like, for example, radio, you do segments. You know what I mean? Same with television, you do segments. With radio, you do segments where you come out in segment 1, you do your monologue or whatever it is you're going to do as far as that's concerned, then you go into a record. I was a record playing jockey or personality or whatever you want to call it. I played records in between my segments. But in the segments, you knew at 7:14 you was going to come on and do this part of the show. And then at 7:24 you was going to come on and go into this section of the show. And then the music was kind of filler. You know what I mean? For the show itself. Same with television. I did like entertainment TV, and it was an interview show. And again, you just go in and ask some basic questions, let other people kind of run the show for you. You just ask, how you doing today? And then they just go off into a tangent on what they want to talk about as far as that's concerned. Here, it was more so engagement than anything that I'd ever done. Like, it's set up, like I said, like kind of like radio, and then you got the camera part of it. So it's kind of like television, but it's totally different at the same time as far as the content is concerned itself.
Yeah. No music though. That was an adjustment, just listening to podcasts in general.
Yeah.
You know,
that took a little bit getting used to.
Oh, for sure. Like, what's a podcast? You mean it's like a morning show on the radio, but they don't ever play any songs? That's strange. Now I don't even listen to morning shows. I'm just listening to podcasts every day.
Right.
You know?
Right. And they got immensely popular during pandemic time.
Oh,
also,
yeah.
Because I wasn't really much into podcasts up until that point. And I think it was you to turn me on to like podcasts, like seriously turning me on to podcasts where you was like, you should listen and take a listen. And prior to that, I really didn't give a shit.
Yeah. Well, I found like a friend of mine was trying to get me on the podcast, and because he was listening to him, and he's like, and he kept wanting to talk about the episodes, and I didn't even know what it was. And he turned me on to this podcast, and there was 3 hosts, and they were constantly talking over each other. And I wasn't used to their personalities, and I was like, no, this is too much. Like, I'd rather just go back to music. And he said, well, we'll try this other one. And he mentioned a guy that just has a show on his own, and he interviews another person. And that kind of slowed the dialogue down. And there was no turning back for me after that. Now I love the original one that he was talking about. We talk about the show all the time. And all that I listen to now is podcasts, because I don't really like the songs that are on the radio anyway.
Right.
You know,
right.
So it's really cool. And you can learn a lot too. You know, I like the ones that are themed like this one, where we talk about our experiences and, you know, use the podcast as an example as we go through it. So you can kind of watch and learn as we go, as we learn as well, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really interesting. I know with season 1, it was kind of just us, you know. We weren't really interviewing anybody, but we decided to start bringing some of these people that we work with outside of the podcast and our own ventures, and bring them on the show and kind of relate our stories with theirs, just to give opportunity to, you know, give some more in-depth discussions about the behind the scenes that go on in music and videos. So I'm really excited about, some of the people that we're going to be talking to. I've got some comedian friends that are going to be coming on. I know we've got some musicians and some producers that are going to be coming on. I feel like we got a lot of big things happening this season.
Yeah, the future is very bright, man, as far as that's concerned.
For
I'm
sure.
truly excited with the way that the work has been coming in over the year is led to some amazing opportunities. So I can't wait to share some of the experience that I've had this year with my people.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And the first season too, boss, we were I didn't really know what the hell podcasting was. So before I bring people on to make a fool of myself, I wanted to get some experience under my belt. So that way, when it was time to bring someone on, I at least got a little bit of knowledge. It's the equivalent of I didn't want anybody to know exactly how messy my house was and shit.
Right,
What
right,
I'm
right.
saying? So, before I invite a guest on, let me clean up a little bit, what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And figure it out. I think now we got a handle on what we're doing.
Yes,
So come on over to the crib. You know what I mean? Let's talk.
for sure, for sure. You say that you want to share some of the opportunities that you've had with your people. Can we talk about that a little bit tonight? Because there has been so much change going on in your professional life since season one. I'm kind of excited to start diving into it. What are some of the things that you've been working on?
Well, I since like we wrapped up right around end of the year with the podcast. And I just started making a lot of tracks, just production, big shout out to my man Luke Jones. Luke was looking for a couple of tracks and he had some records that that I had heard and that I wanted to be a part of. So we started making a lot of records together and stuff. And I also had a friend in New York that she had posted a video on her social media about her releasing a single, if I'm not mistaken. She was releasing a single. And I reached out to her and was like, we should work. And I hadn't really spoken to her in years. It had been a long time since I had actually spoken. So when I reached out, she was like, call me. So I gave her a call and we spoke and she was telling me that she was working at some studio in Mount Vernon, New York. And they have internet radio and she's doing a lot of things. She's a phenomenal singer, great singer. And she posted a single of herself and I was like, yo, let me do some mixing, some editing for you, stuff like that. I got a couple of tracks you might be interested in. So she's like, send me something. So I sent her the record and she fell in love with the instrumental. And she was like, yo, I want to do something with this song. So I'm like, sure, that's fine. So she sent me, it was like 2 days. It wasn't long at all. Like 2 days. And she sent the vocals back and she was like, but she didn't finish the song. So she did the first verse, the B section and the hook. And I'm like, well, maybe she didn't know where to go with it after that. So I laid some dummy vocals on it. Just to kind of, if that was the case, to give her some direction as to how she could lay the song out in its entirety. And I sent it back to her and she was like, I have a rapper that I can put on this record and make that happen. She was like, but I want to keep your singing vocals. And I'm encouraging her to kind of give the record off to someone else. I was sick at the time, didn't really want to lay the vocals. I was just kind of doing it as a favor. So she got this rapper guy on and she kept my vocals anyway. She still kept my vocals. And she got this rapper guy on and he was asking her who did the record. And she told him, it's my friend Sway. He lives in Nashville, blah, 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 blah. So she calls me on the phone and she was like, yo, I got a guy who's looking for some tracks. He likes the record that you and I did. he's wondering if you have any tracks. So I sent 3. I sent 3 more tracks. After I sent those 3 tracks, the guy calls me on the phone. And he was like, man, this one record that you did, man, it's fire. I want it. He was like, I can get Ghostface Killah on the record. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, word? And he's like, yeah, that's my man's. And like, I known Ghost for years. And So I'm all in at that point. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm all in. So I'm excited. It was kind of validation. You know, a lot of emotions were going through my body at this time, but it took forever for the record to jump off. And there was sometimes to where I didn't think it was really gonna happen. But in the meantime, me and my man, Iborn, we developed a friendship, you know, in that time while the waiting process. And he had a lot of other things going on with him too, not just the Ghostface record. And he pulled me in to become a part of his project as a whole. We finally get the Ghostface record done, and now he's released his record, and I got 2 songs on his new project, and it's just lined up with a lot of celebrities on this thing.
Yeah.
So with that, it's been a kind of a snowball effect. We got you involved, and you know, you did the logo for his label and stuff like that, and you know, he dropped his first single with Styles P, This Thing of Ours, and it's starting to gain some traction. It's starting to heat up a little bit. So, you know, I'm excited. I'm also producing a little country, a little gospel, a little pop, a little R&B. I've spanned across 5 genres in music this year. That's probably the most I've ever done in my life. So I'm excited what the future is gonna hold, man. I'm excited for it. It's been a wonderful ride. It's been a wonderful ride.
I gotta tell you, just like talking to you sometimes daily, just about all these opportunities that are open up, like it's really exciting.
Yeah.
Like you've got like everything you just said. In addition to that, some of the people that live around here that have worked with us for years, now we're starting to cross paths with some of these people. You know, like you mentioned earlier, we were talking earlier, Iborn and Luke Jones are working on a song together.
Yeah.
And that's amazing because Iborn's kind of new to the, you know, to our side of the family, right? And he's in New York and he's doing big things over there. We've been working with Luke Jones for years, and he's getting back into music and, you know, going in hard as he can. And these guys are starting to get to know each other, and now they've connected and now they're working on music together. Like, it's amazing. It's incredible.
Absolutely. And I was really shocked at how much he respected what Luke Jones did as an artist, too, with them being so opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I remember when I moved to New York, people could hear the accent and stuff like that, so they'd ask where I was from, and I'm from Tennessee, and they would literally ask me if we wore shoes.
What's a shoe?
Right. So I mean, and it happened to me on more than one occasion. People actually wear shoes out there. I'm like, who the fuck you think we are? And shit. Like seriously?
Hey, to be fair, I do go outside barefoot all the time. All the time.
Do you go in public like that?
Nah.
Okay,
I don't leave the property
no
of my
doubt.
house. But like, I gotta go outside. I'm currently barefoot in the house. I'll just walk straight out. I don't care.
No doubt. That's one thing, but Lord, I mean, actually, you think we're going to like restaurants with no shoes on and shit? Like, what the fuck?
I mean, some do. Let's be real.
Yeah. And it's getting crazier and crazier as the years go by, too, man. I tell you, next thing you know, man, we're gonna have pets sitting at the fucking tables at restaurants with us, eating with forks and shit. Like man. It's insane. It's insane. The things that were not once before that is allowed today.
Oh yeah. People bring their pets into Lowe's.
Yeah.
Like I'm just at Lowe's and like here comes a dog walking by. I'm like, where am I?
Yeah. I've seen them at the supermarkets here, man, and that's going too far. That's
Yeah.
too far.
That's too much.
Yeah, that's too far. But I'm not the only one that's been busy during the pandemic. You've kind of switched directions a little bit too since we last spoke to our people.
I have. Yeah. I've gotten a little cocky, and I've got on stage.
I think that might be an understatement.
Nah, just a hair, and I've started walking up on stage and trying to make people laugh. It's been quite the experience, man. Like, I've always been a behind the scenes kind of guy.
Right.
Like,
right.
you know, I like to write and produce and, you know, let other people be the talent. You know, that's their passion and that's what they want. And I like to be the guy that's putting it all together. And doing this podcast and editing the episodes and seeing myself on screen was just blowing my mind, because I don't ever do that.
Right.
Like, I'll stand in and help with, you know, blocking or choreography or something, but I just delete that when I'm editing, because that's never going to make it into the cut. I'm not an actor.
Right.
But when we started editing this and I'm seeing myself on screen, I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, all right. I can dig this. All right, I'm used to this now. And then friends and family and people I don't even know would like message the show or talk to me like out in public and be like, yo, I saw that new episode that you did, man. I really like that. It's very entertaining. You're pretty funny. You've got a knack for that.
Yeah.
Really? Like me? That's not what I do. And I talked to Sway and I'm like, man, I think I'm just going to like produce the show. And like Mike was a part of it for a while. And I was like, I think you guys should just talk and I'll just sit back and I'll edit the show. And you guys, he's like, no. You're like, I want you to be on the show. You and I talk every day. I want people to see what we talk about.
Absolutely.
I'm like, oh, okay. So I started doing it, man. And once the show ended, we didn't really have anything going on. And we were still in the middle of the pandemic, I guess. And, you know, my production crew, if you will, was still not comfortable getting together. And I was just trying to come up with something to do, something to be creative with. And I'd done stand-up before, you know, I'd done it a few times, just working out comedic scenes and scripts that I was working on. I don't even know if this is funny, but I want to shoot it. So let me go to an open mic and see if it works. I was like, well, let me do that again. And I kind of got, you know, the buzz. I've been doing it every week now.
Yeah.
It's really turned into something. And I'm really excited about it. Some of the guys that I've been meeting, you know, doing these shows, I'm trying to get them on the podcast so that we can talk about our experiences, because it's really interesting. It's really interesting.
Now, what brought that on? Like, what said to you, I think I'm gonna try this shit?
I think it was like a mix of two things. I'm not a center of the room kind of guy. I like to stand in the back and just kind of watch and zone out, really. But getting the confidence, you know, to go out and be center of attention was kind of what pushed me to go do it. And the other thing was just needing an outlet to write and create and deliver. Like I needed something. And when I'm struggling to get people together to go through some of these productions, and you know, I can't do it all by myself. So I thought, what could I do by myself?
Right.
And you know, I saw an ad for stand-up one night, and they were doing it at one of the breweries in town that I liked. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to write something and I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do that, because I can do that by myself. I don't care if I bomb. I don't care if it's great. Like, I'm just going to go try it. And I bombed so hard. It was so bad. But, you know, I thought, well, some of these other people here, they were really funny. And I see where my mistakes were. So I'm going to rewrite this joke and I'm going to go try it again. And I went up, humiliated myself again. And then I went up a couple of days after that and did pretty well, and said, all right, I'm going to work on this for a while. And I just haven't quit.
What's the hardest part about being a stand-up comedian?
For me, I think the hardest part was going back the next day. You know, like, you go up, you write something, you think it's entertaining, you go up on stage, you deliver it to a room full of people, and nobody laughs. And you see people in the crowd start texting halfway through your set some of the guys in the back just go outside to smoke. Before you know it, no one's even paying attention, and you realize how awful your set was. And then going back the next day to tell another version of the same joke in front of half of the same people.
Right.
That's a challenge. You know what I mean? Like, people don't like to be humiliated. We don't like to feel bad, you know.
Whoa.
We want to, if you go up on stage, if I have like a killer night and the whole audience is laughing, man, I feel so good. I cannot wait to come back and do this tomorrow.
Right.
But when I go up and just eat shit for 5 minutes, then it's like, I don't want to do this tomorrow, you know. But you have to, right? Because you got to figure out why that joke sucked and then work on it. Don't just throw it away. Like, figure it out, go back and do it again. And that's the hardest part, I think.
Well, I applaud you for, number one, doing it by yourself. Like, that's hard. Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, being an artist, that's tough. And you go to these comedy places by yourself. That's insane for me. And I've done it too. Don't get me wrong, but I know a lot of times it's better when you have a group of people that go with you. It gives me more confidence. And the fact that you get up and do this alone, I tip my hat to you every week, man. And you do it, you know, a couple days, 3 days a week sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you just get in the car by yourself and you ride up and that's tough. That's tough. It takes some big cojones just to do that. You know what I mean?
Well, that I have. Medically and metaphorically.
Now, how do you motivate yourself to keep going, especially after you bomb?
I have an end goal.
Mhm.
I have a 30 to 45 minute set that I've written.
Mhm.
And when I start doing something, like, there is an end goal. There is something that I want to come from this. You know, like when I'm doing a short film, once I start writing it, the goal becomes to complete it.
Right.
I want to write it. I want to cast it. I want to produce it, shoot it, edit it, and then be done with it. What happens after that really just depends on the quality of the video. But my goal each time is to get all the way through it.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of scripts that those goals are still open. I just haven't had a chance or funding, or, you know, it just hasn't happened yet.
Mhm.
So when I started writing, you know, I grew up watching stand-up specials.
Right.
Anytime I saw one, I used to have like Jeff Foxworthy CDs that I would listen to in the car. You know, those are complete specials, a complete set. And so I wrote one of those. And so I go up each time with 5 minutes of it, and I work it out until I feel like it's where it needs to be. Now it's just rehearsing it and getting through it. But I know where the jokes are, and I know how it's going to flow. I know what the pacing of this joke is. And when I reach that point, I move on to the next one. And so my first goal was just to get through that. You know, I need to be comfortable standing on stage.
Yeah.
And then once I got comfortable on stage, then I need to know how to write a joke. So I would start rewriting jokes that I had worked on and figuring out where those punchlines and setups need to go.
Mhm.
And so now that I have completed those goals, my next goal is to take all these bits that I've been working on, these little 5-minute jokes, and put them together somewhere and film it and record it and self-distribute it and see what the world thinks about it. That's where my goal is right now. So that's what I'm working towards. So whether I bomb or do great, I have to come back, because if I don't complete that goal, then I've spent the last 7 months wasting time.
What do you mean by wasting time? I'm curious.
Because if I'm just going up and having a good night or a bad night, and then tomorrow I just go, well, you know what, this really isn't for me, I don't want to do it anymore, then what all that time that I spent driving to various cities to go to an open mic, I could have been doing anything else.
I see.
Yeah, so then it didn't go anywhere. Nothing came. I'm now confident again, standing in front of a group of people,
Right.
and pouring my heart out to the world. So that's great. That's one of the reasons why I kept doing it, because when I'm not really competitive with other people. Like, if you're better, I don't care. I don't care at all. That's not why I'm not here to be better than you.
Right.
But if I see you do better than I did, then that tells me that I'm not doing as good as I can do. And I compete with myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I want to accomplish with everything, is that if I do something and I know that it's not as good as it could have been, then I want to do it again, because now I need to do it better. And so that drive has to go somewhere. So I have to complete the recording in my mind. Like that's just where I need to go with it. And then, the next step would be trying to book places and try to sell tickets and do shows with new material, and use this to promote the next phase.
That was beautiful, man. The part about being better for yourself, like competing with yourself to be as good as, I think you used the phrase, as good. I'm not being as good as I can be.
Yeah.
Like that was so profound. You know what I mean? And a lot of times people don't come to that realization within themselves. You know what I mean? That you're not being your best. Like I say to my children in regards to school, like I tell them all the time, I don't give a shit about school per se. It's not about you going to school to make good grades, to please me. It's about you going to school to make good grades, to show that you can be just as good as anyone else, that you're just as good, if not better than anyone else, that you're just as good, and level up with yourself all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Level up with you as often as you can. But my kids don't bring in bad grades, but it's not really about grades for me.
Right.
It's about you going in there and doing the absolute best that you can do.
Right.
Period. Because nobody's any better than you. So that's very, very profound. Very profound.
Yeah.
Got me in the fields there, boss.
Yeah. Well, I started snowboarding at a later age, I think, than most of the people that currently do it. And like, I watched the Winter Olympics, and I see those guys on the half pipe. One of the guys broke the record, I think, for like the most flips or something this year, and he got the gold, and it was incredible to watch. And I know that I can't do that.
Right.
I'm not even going to try to compete with that. But I know that when I'm going down the mountain and I'm trying to do a jump, or I'm trying to spin around, like, I know that I can do better than what I'm doing. So like, my end goal is not to be better than that guy. My goal is to just make it down safely and be proud of the run that I had. You know what I mean? And when I fall and when I slip up, it's I know what I did wrong there.
Right.
So now I got to do it again, and I don't want to fall this time. And then I think that's the motives that most people should have with what they do in their life. Like, just, like, I think it was an Army commercial when I was a kid. Be the best that you can be. Like, that's true. You know what I mean? Just go out and do it. Do you, and whatever you can do it to the best that you can, and have fun, man. That's life right there.
Yeah. See, I'm very competitive. Yeah, I mean, I'm the opposite end of that spectrum. I am very competitive, especially if I'm pretty good at something. I want to be better than my opposition.
Yeah.
So I strive. And I was having a conversation, we're talking about Luke Jones earlier. I was having a conversation with Luke Jones, and he wasn't really chewing me out per se, but he was like, sometimes you can be hard on us. And I was like, yeah. I was like, because
yeah.
And I was like, because I see the greatness. If I didn't see that there was greatness there, I wouldn't say anything. You know what I mean? If I thought you were average or mediocre or not so good, I would just let you, oh, that's Luke Jones. You know what I mean? Don't pay him no mind. That's just, you know. But if I see the talent, if I see the gift, if I see that you are good enough or great or even at greatness, I want to cultivate it. A lot of times we can't see what other people see in us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've taken a lot of time to think about those things. It's like people will come and say, you know, I see you doing this, that, another, or you know, I see you out there, you know, you got big things going on, blah, 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 blah. In my mind, I'm thinking that, you know, I'm mediocre at best. But in the minds of others, they don't see that. You know what I mean? So I'm learning to kind of take those words of encouragement to move me forward to where I can, like you, get better at what I'm doing the last time
I think sometimes our biggest weakness is getting in our own heads and stopping ourselves from moving forward to be the best that we can be. You know what I mean?
I do, which is why I take that time to just kind of, when someone does pay me a compliment, I reflect on it and say, okay, if they see the greatness in me, then I have to recognize that within myself too.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of times those words of encouragement encourage me to continue on too.
Yeah.
You know.
Like I'm gonna brag for a minute.
All right.
I'm a Spartan, baby.
Word.
Yes, sir.
Word. What happened?
This is what do they call it? My participation trophy. I didn't win anything. But
looks heavy.
Oh man. We did the Spartan race yesterday.
Uh-huh.
It's a 10K run, which is 6.2 miles with 27 or 28 obstacles mixed in throughout the race. And it's on a farm, so it's like through fields, up hills, through like creek beds. Like it's not just like a flat terrain. It's a tough run.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, you're climbing walls, you're climbing ladders, you're climbing ropes. Like, man, I'm so wore out, man. I feel like I got hit by a car this morning. Like,
really?
Oh, dude, it beat the hell out of me. But like 3/4 of the way through, there's this monkey bar situation where you know, like monkey bars when you were a kid, it's got the poles that you climb on. So it's that, but there's chains hanging with like a handle. So you can't grab the bar, you have to swing from one chain to the next. And they're probably like 4 feet away, 3 feet away. You can't just like, I mean, some people were just like flying through it, but someone like me who's out of shape and doesn't go to the gym very often, it was very, very difficult. Yeah. And the words of encouragement, just yesterday, I'm dead beat tired. I'm questioning why I even signed up for this. And I'm on this swinging monkey bar thing. I'm about halfway through. My forearms are about to give out. And if you don't make it through each like the wall, like if you can't climb the wall, for example, then you have to go over and like run a lap that they have set up over on the side, like a penalty. Like if you can't do this, if you can't get over this wall, then you can go over here and do these, or you can come over here and do 30 push-ups or something. Like each one has a different penalty set up. And so I'm halfway through it like, man, I don't want to go run this extra bit. I'm barely going to make it to the end of the 10K. And this volunteer who is like, I don't know, she's on the other side. There's nobody in between me and her. I'm hanging dead center, just about to let go. And she goes, hey, you're halfway through this. Don't fall. You got this. And I was like, I do. And I made it all the way to the end. Like, for real. And I hit that cowbell and she high-fived me and I just kept on going. But I seriously was just about to drop because it was just killing me. I don't do this. This is not, I don't even like treadmills. You know what I mean? Like, why am I here? Like, yeah, I'm going to show this off, man. Yeah. Like, I earned that one, buddy. Let me tell you. But that encouragement, man, like I really just gave up right then and there. And she told me to go. And she looked right at me, mean mugging me, like, don't let go of this. You're halfway through already. Go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I made it to the end, man. I made it to the end. So it was a challenge.
And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that we're learning, boss, is to finish.
Yeah.
Just to finish. You know what I mean?
It's the hardest part sometimes.
You put your body through hell yesterday to actually finish, but you finished. You know what I mean? And that's really where my mind is all the time too, is finishing.
Yeah.
Because no matter what it is, there's gonna be something greater on the other side of that finish. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whether it's you're in the kitchen cooking, at the finish line is a meal. You know what I mean? So just finish. I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned during the pandemic, post-pandemic, is just finish.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes, man. Yeah. It's really hard.
Yeah. I remember really telling Iborn, man, we were like, it was like mid-spring, and he calls me up and he was like, I ain't heard from you in a while. And I'm like, yeah, man, this shit is fucking with my peace. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I don't know if I can keep going, man. This is really I said it's compromising my peace of mind, is what I said. It's compromising my peace of mind. And I was like, and I don't know, because he was putting some real challenges on a brother, man. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, Born took it to the next level for real. He's relentless, let me tell you. And I was like, it's messing with my peace. I don't know if this is something that I want to do. And he was like, look, you said when we first got started that you was going to see this all the way through. He was like, I'm holding you to that. And it just changed my perspective. You know what I mean? It truly did. And in that, I was able to find peace within myself too, you know. And we did finish. We got to the finish line. We did. We got there. But finishing is the most important, you know. Because it's easy to quit. That's easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. There's a lot of projects that I've started, and for whatever reason, I just gave up and moved on to something else. Yeah. And I'll look back at it and go, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have just made it all the way through, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lesson that everybody should take, is even if you're not happy, even if you don't like it, if you're in it, do it. Be done with it. You know, get to the end.
Yep.
You'll be better for it.
Yep. I agree. And a lot of times that's really what it takes, is to just finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and don't be afraid to fail. I think I was so caught up in wanting to be impressive to where when I did make mistakes, I thought I wasn't as impressive when I made the mistakes. But I also found out that what was impressive was learning from those mistakes, and then coming back and being better, like you said earlier, than you were before. You know?
Yeah.
Can't do that. Not being afraid to fail, because I was surely afraid of that.
Yeah. Well, I think we fail and then we give up because we failed. And it's like, oh man, well, I guess I can't do that. Well, no, you just learn from that failure and move on. And that way the next time you don't fail.
Right.
You know, there's so many like open micers that I've met that have started this year, and I started this year. And after I started, you know, throughout the year, a new face would show up, you know, and they would bomb, and then they'd come back to the next one, and then they would bomb, and then you just never see them again. And I don't know, maybe they've moved on to other, you know, venues. Maybe we're just not in the same circles anymore. But I take it as they quit. Yeah. And I can't quit just because I wasn't good at something. That's not a reason for me to quit. If I didn't like it, if I hated it, if I, you know, like if I got on stage and I never had a good night and I was just not having a good time, I wasn't making any friends, I wasn't enjoying myself, and the whole time I was there, I was like, man, I just wish I was playing baseball or something. Right. That's a reason to quit. That's, you don't like it, you don't enjoy it, you tried it, you gave it your all, do something else. But if I'm enjoying myself but I didn't do good, that's not a reason to quit. that's a reason to be better. That's a reason to try harder. That's a reason to move on, you know? Learn from why you're failing. Learn from why you're not doing good. When you're releasing songs and people just aren't listening and they're not, or they are listening and they're not liking it, and they're like, that's just not for me. Yet, you know, part of that is maybe you're making music that they don't like. And I'm not saying you in general, I just mean like just music. Like, like take the criticism that people give. You know what I mean? Like when I'm snowboarding and I was learning and my buddy was teaching me, like I fell and I hurt myself, you know? And he was like, well, I notice when you go around turns, you lean in this direction, your center of gravity is off. Try doing it this way. If I don't take those words of encouragement, like, hey man, you have good form, but when you hit that turn, you're throwing it all off, and that's why you're falling over. If I don't listen to other people, then I'm never going to learn. I'm just going to go, well, I'm going to do it my way and keep falling until I just give up. But if you take those words of advice, of encouragement, of all the above, and you apply it, figure out a way to incorporate it into your own style and get better. And then when you get better, and now I'm going around turns, now I'm trying to figure out ways that I can improve that, and I'm not falling anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's kind of like learning a new dance move.
Yeah.
Well, you're like, how the fuck did they do that? And then you get by yourself and you start moving your body, and your body don't quite move the way you saw it in the club and shit. You like, and just practice. By the time I learned the dance move, the dance was old. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah,
I would learn it. I would learn it, but they moved on to something else by the time.
That's like the moonwalk. The moonwalk was the crazy. I mean, I saw it like years after it had already come and gone, and nobody cared anymore. But when I saw Michael Jackson from my first time do the moonwalk,
it was incredible. Yes.
What? He's walking forward and he's moving backwards? It
was incredible.
Oh my God, I bet.
Yeah. But now I learned that too. They moved on.
Yeah.
They moved on. But I did learn it.
I never bothered to learn the dance. I've gone clubbing with my wife once, and we went out on stage, and we very quickly, I was told, we need to go sit back down.
Yeah. Is she a good dancer?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. She, I don't know. I'm not in on dancing. She dances. She has a good time. She looks natural doing it. So I'm going to say that means she's a good dancer.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
When we go to a place that has dancing, I'm told that I'm not doing it right.
I see. You do the can't dance.
I do the can't dance. Oh, yeah. I am the Cadillac of can't dancers, let me tell you. I got my own genre.
I can dig it.
Yeah, it's called the embarrassment.
I don't know about dancing, but I can bob to the beat. I can do that. You know what I mean? Clap my hands with the snare and shit. I can do that. But you know, I don't know if I'm a great dancer or not. You know, I've gotten this far without it, so.
Right.
You know. I'm not Beyonce or Sierra or Chris Brown or nobody. I'm not that, for sure.
Me neither, man. Me neither.
Nah. But I'm okay with it. And my children, they can't dance either. They don't even have a rhythm. Well, Philip, my youngest son, he can imitate whatever he sees.
Yeah, I've seen that firsthand. Yeah, I still remember sitting at your house, and we didn't even know your piano was on. Phil came up, and he's walking around the room, and we got back to talking, and then we started hearing music. And we were like, what is that? We look over, and Phil's just going to town, and he was in rhythm, and it sounded great, and both of us were like, you know, like, yeah.
He can imitate anything he sees. The others, yeah. That. So, you know, guess we all can't be blessed with greatness with everything.
That's true. That's true. But you just got to find closing words. You got to find what you're great at and be better at it.
Yes. That was very profound when you said, like, that hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like, when you said that was very beautiful. Very beautiful. Use that in the promo, for sure.
Yeah.
I guess the final words for me is this season should be very interesting. Hopefully we can make it even more exciting than the last time. And we're bringing some friends along with us. I think we're comfortable enough in what we're doing to invite some people over to the house.
Yeah.
And talk to them, let them talk to us and stuff like that. And I want to get different takes on the industry from people that's actually living it as well. You know what I mean? Not just us. I mean, we live it daily, but I want to get other people that's living it like that also to kind of give that insight. You know, maybe their story can help and inspire other people too. Just kind of do that. So
For sure.
I'm excited about this season, man. I really am. I don't know what to expect, but expect some shit because we gonna bring something to you. That's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm also excited just to introduce some of the faces to the people that we work with and talk about in these episodes. Because, like, you and I work together for years, but we don't do it alone. You know what I mean? Like, we've always got other people with us that are, handling what they do, and we do what we do, and it comes together, and that's how we get our products done. So we can always share our experiences, but bring some of these other faces in to share theirs. Like you said, I think that's going to be very impactful on the listeners, and working it out.
I do too. And I'm interested in just kind of letting them be free to discuss stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get some things off their chest that they may not have ever even dealt with, talked about. And this is not therapy, but experiences within their journey, that other people may have lived through, may not quite gotten there yet, may bypassed it, and whatever the case may be. But everybody has a story.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right, man. Well, I think that's a wrap for the show. Thank y'all for listening. Stay tuned till next time.
It's the peanut butter magic.